We all know that sinking feeling in our stomach as we watch the graph lines fall to the pits. When we think of investing, stocks seems like a synonym. But do you feel your limited knowledge of stocks is why you're financially lacking? If so, then one man would entirely disagree. Warren Buffett spent 8 years learning everything he could about stocks, and it took him 8 years and one book to know he was learning all the wrong things. If you want to know which book it was, you'll have to stick around for a bit. First, let's see who this guy is. Warren is America's most successful name in the investment industry. With a net worth of $107.9 billion, he is richer than Bill Gates, who is worth almost $104 billion. He started his investment education at age 11 and has since cracked the code of becoming rich. Now you might feel behind because you were solving word problems at 11. But don't worry, this video will catch you up in just 10 minutes. And you better stick till the end because that's where I'll share the biggest secret to his $107 billion worth. Now if you've hit the like and subscribe button below, we can begin without further ado. Warren's life-altering decision. At 15, Warren was gobbling up books on technical analysis, watching stocks go up and down, and spending his playtime charting them on the playground. And his favorite bedtime storybook? It was the classic Edwards and McGee. But was that what made him the wealthy 91-year-old he currently is? It turns out it was the exact opposite. So how did he find out? Warren says his mindset changed when he got his hands on Benjamin Graham's The Intelligent Investor. This was his endgame, the turning point of his financial career. He learned a simple truth which I'll explain with cake. Imagine having sugar, flour, frosting, and all other essentials for a cake. But you put them in an air fryer. Now you have something that doesn't reach its full potential. Warren realized that by investing in stocks, he was putting his ingredients in the wrong place. So his cake wasn't going to be how he wanted it. But he had the ingredients which didn't hurt. So all he needed was to correct the recipe. Eager to know what it was? That's great because we're getting to the good part now. Buying business over stock. Would you go to a 7-course dinner and only eat the appetizer? Yeah, I wouldn't either. That's what Warren realized he was doing by investing in stocks. The stock market may have the advantage of lesser commitment and easy pullouts. However, it's not as fruitful as it seems. So instead of going for stocks, he moved his investments to publicly traded businesses. And that was the last day he spent getting anxious over a fluctuating chart. Now, don't get intimidated by the idea of owning a business. To understand business ownership, you don't need to be Einstein or the Stephen Hawkings of finance. When Warren started buying businesses, he wasn't aware of how stocks would affect his financial standing, or what the zigzagging charts would mean for his trade. He was just investing in what he was doing. The best investors in this game have an IQ of 120, and having 170 won't make you a wealthier man. That's the beauty of it. You'd probably do worse with a higher IQ. So if brains are out of the picture, what do you need to become the next Warren Buffett? We find that out next. Contrary to what people think, it's not genius that makes people rich. It's patience. Imagine you buy a stock today. What would you want out of it? What would your expectations be while looking at the charts? You would like it to soar, to make a profit. But what if it goes down? You'd feel worse with every notch it went down. But Warren, he would be happier. This may make you think, well, that's one crazy dude, but that's the first rule of finance, looking at the bigger picture. If you're thinking about how much profit you can get overnight, you'll never get anywhere. But if you own a company, imagine where it would be 10 or 20 years later. So people like Warren benefit from falling stocks, unlike you and me, who lose sleep over it. Because stooping graphs for us mean we lose money, but for the Warrens out there, it's opportunity. The lower the price, the more businesses can buy with the same money. So eventually, in the long run, these guys get rich. But I want to get rich too. How do I go about it? Do I buy any businesses? To answer this question, let's see what Warren did. Owning state business. Warren made his first investment in Citi Service Preferred. At the time, this was his whole net worth of $140.75, And for the next 81 years, he kept 80% of his money in American businesses. It wasn't about getting money to buy 5 houses and luxury cars. That's not what his wealth was about. Because the more houses you buy, the more renovations you need. So ultimately, your investments will need maintenance money. However, in Warren's case, he was focused on investing in areas that would generate capital. So he kept investing in more businesses. His motivation was simple. He just liked doing this. Earning money for him was about having the proper orientation. Per his ideology, the American economy is better off without the stock market. What? That would mean the end of business growth. Or would it? A different standard. What if I told you you are richer than Rockefeller at this moment? As crazy as it sounds, it is true. Statistically, more Americans earn a higher income than their forefathers ever did in this era. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean everyone in America is richy rich with a dog named Dollar. However, compared to other decades and eras, people are making more money now. Just look at Bank of America's deposits between 2008 and 2020. And I wasn't kidding about Rockefeller's example. The bottom 2% on today's financial hierarchy still live with more facilities than Rockefeller had his whole life. And this guy was the wealthiest man in the world. So he was the Jeff Bezos of the 1860s. But I'm not as rich as Bezos. How could I be richer than Rockefeller? Let me ask you, did he have access to chemotherapy like you do? Did he eat Netflix and chill every evening after work? Did he have a dishwasher? Or did he own a Tesla? If he wanted to enjoy a football game, the poor guy had to go buy a ticket, clear his schedule long enough to reach the stadium, and sit in a crowd to watch it. You and me, we turn on the television and get the best view with commentary, explaining everything. Meanwhile, that guy carried binoculars to see where the ball went. So we don't have it as good as the wealthiest guy from the 19th century, we actually have it better. All of this is thanks to improved lifestyle and accessibility, and the United States is the hub of it all. Measuring the progress. Let's go back to around 250 years when America was a simple piece of land with less than 1% of the world's population. A time when we farmed on land, fed our livestock, and were in bed by 7. We're talking way before nuclear weapons and modern technology. I don't think a single one of our forefathers would believe what we have made out of that simple piece of land. If you time traveled to tell your great-grandmother, Granny, a few hundred years later, will be flying in the skies or talking to people on the other side of the world, she'd probably admit you to a lunatic asylum. So the magnitude of progress is unfathomable in America. Just compare the improvement in hours. Back when we started in 1789, 1 hour of labor yielded much less profit than it does now, and everything our ancestors did may have made them some money. But who did this money eventually end up with? The modern-day American. So what do this progress and productivity mean? It means opportunity and improvement for all of us. The phone you're watching this video on and the internet connection you're using are just 2 examples of this. It's simple. In 91 years, Warren has seen unbelievable productivity in America, and if it has been this way for 91 years, it will keep happening. But it was a train wreck during the pandemic, and what about the Great Depression, you might ask? And the answer is, despite that, we have only progressed. Sure, we have had a few roadblocks here and there, but eventually business moves forward, and this is Warren's secret. If you understand this, you will consistently be winning. Alright folks, we'll end it here today and be back with another financial success. Comment how much you agree with these ideologies, and don't forget to share some Warren wisdom with your friends.